A lot depends on vaccination, how successful it is and how careful.
The day ahead. We cut all the noise, bring you news as it happens. I'm Adil Thomas. Let's get started with the top headlines at the top of this hour. DCGI gives emergency use nod to Moderna's vaccine. The Union Health Ministry makes the announcement about the availability of the fourth vaccine against COVID in the country very soon. Says COVID vaccine is completely safe for lactating mothers. COVID vaccination figures cross the 33 crore mark nationwide. COVID cases keep declining steadily in the country. Less than 40,000 daily new cases registered after 102 days. Active cases go down further to 5,52,659. Overall recovery rate climbs further to 96.87%. Home Ministry issues fresh advisory to states to consider implementation of targeted and prompt actions for COVID management. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar says international cooperation is the answer to the COVID challenge, be it vaccines, medicines, PPEs or oxygen. Addressing the G20 foreign ministers meeting in Italy, the minister says institutional multilateralism has been found wanting and vaccine equity will be the ultimate test for it. US House passes resolution calling for Joe Biden administration to help COVID aid to India. Says India's pharma industry is a vital part of the global solution to COVID-19 pandemic. England finally beat Germany 2-0 in a knockout match after 55 years to advance into the quarter-finals of Euro 2020. Ukraine enter European Championship last stage by defeating Sweden 2-1. Serena Williams dreams of winning an 8th Wimbledon singles title and equaling Margaret Court's Grand Slam record of 24 wins ends in tears after injury. Well, those are the headlines. Now for the stories in detail, starting first up with COVID management and vaccination drive in India. The Union Health Ministry has added more heft to the vaccination battlefront against COVID-19 by granting emergency use authorization to a fourth shot, which will soon become available in the country. New drug permission has been green-lighted for Moderna's vaccine, which will be imported into the country in the coming days. Here's more in this report.
The Union government is committed to accelerating the pace and expanding the scope of COVID-19 vaccination throughout the country. The vaccination drive has been ramped up to control COVID-19 across the nation. India on Tuesday made way for the fourth coronavirus vaccine. New drug permission has been granted to Moderna, the first internationally developed vaccine.
New drug permission has been granted to Moderna. This is the first internationally developed vaccine for which now such permission exists today. And as I said, this new drug permission for restricted use, which is the other name for emergency use authorization, is now in operation. And this potentially opens up a clear possibility, clear likelihood of this vaccine being imported into India.
The Union Health Ministry on Tuesday reiterated that COVID-19 vaccines which are being administered in India are safe for lactating mothers.
क्या ये चारों वैक्सीन लैक्टेटिंग विमेन को स्तनपान कराती हुई महिलाओं को देने चाहिए, देने जा सकते हैं, सेफ हैं? The answer is yes, yes and yes. ये सारे वैक्सीन स्तनपान कराती हुई महिलाओं को लेने हैं, ये बिल्कुल सेफ है। और जैसे मैंने पहले भी क्लैरिफाई किया कि स्तनपान कराइए, वैक्सीन लीजिए, उसके बाद फिर स्तनपान कराइए जैसे भी बच्चे को जरूरत है।
The Health Ministry also said India surpassed the US in COVID-19 vaccination.
30 करोड़ का जो बेंचमार्क था, अगर जो अवेलेबल डेटा कहता है कि यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ने 174 दिन लिए, इंडिया ने उसी 30 करोड़ बेंचमार्क को 159 डेज में कवर किया। इसी के साथ ही 31 करोड़ का बेंचमार्क जहां यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में 183 डेज लगे, इंडिया ने उसको केवल 2 दिन बाद ही यानी कि 161 डेज में पूरा किया। इसी के साथ ही आज हम 32 करोड़ का अगर बेंचमार्क की बात करते हैं तो जहां यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स को 193 डेज लगे और आज हमने उसको 163 दिनों में पूरा किया।
After the new vaccination policy, an average of 57,68,000 doses are being given daily.
अप्रैल के माह में टोटल वैक्सीनेशन जो हुआ, डोजेज जो दी गई वह थी 8.99 करोड़ डोजेज, मई में 6.1 करोड़ डोजेज और जून में अब तक 10.75 करोड़ डोजेज दी जा चुकी हैं। रूरल प्रांत में जो हमारे सेंटर्स हैं वर्सेस अर्बन प्रांत में जो हमारे सेंटर्स हैं, और माने कि उन सेंटर्स में रूरल और अर्बन पॉपुलेशन आती है, तो हम देखें कि हमारी रूरल की कवरेज 9.72 करोड़ डोजेज है 1 मई टू 24 जून, जो यानी कि 56% है, और अर्बन की 7.68 करोड़ डोजेज है जो कि 44% है।
As part of the nationwide vaccination drive, the Government of India has been supporting the states and UTs by providing them COVID vaccines free of cost. The trial process for vaccination of children continues. Children aged between 2 to 6 years will be screened at AIIMS, New Delhi. Earlier, children in the age group of 6 to 18 years were screened and given the first dose of vaccine. With Bureau Inputs, DD India.
Union Home Ministry has asked all states and union territories to ensure implementation of targeted and prompt actions for COVID-19 management. In a letter to Chief Secretaries of states and administrators of union territories, Home Secretary Ajay Bhalla urged them to issue directions to district and all other authorities to take necessary measures as advised by Health Ministry in their letter on Tuesday for management of COVID-19. The Home Secretary said many states and union territories have started relaxing restrictions with decline in the number of active cases. He said the process of relaxing restrictions must be carefully calibrated. Home Ministry has asked states and union territories to closely monitor case positivity and bed occupancy on a regular basis. It has asked them to regularly monitor districts with higher number of active cases per million population, as it is an important indicator to predict the need for upgrading health infrastructure and logistics. Home Ministry said there should be a continuous focus on the five-fold strategy for effective management of COVID-19: test, track, treat, along with vaccination and adherence to COVID-19 appropriate behavior. While COVID cases are declining in the country, the Delta Plus variant remains an issue of concern in some states. 51 positive cases have been found in 12 states so far, and joint efforts are on by both the centre and states to contain its spread.
51 आइसोलेट्स हैं और ये 12 स्टेट्स में प्रेजेंट हैं: मध्य प्रदेश, महाराष्ट्र, पंजाब, गुजरात, केरल, आंध्र, तमिलनाडु, उड़ीसा, राजस्थान, जम्मू, कर्नाटका एंड हरियाणा। अलग अलग नंबर्स हैं। जो केसेस हैं उनको क्वारंटाइन किया गया है, कंटेनमेंट के मेजर्स करे गए हैं और इसके ऊपर एक बिल्कुल क्लोज वॉच रखी जा रही है।
Delta Plus variant is indeed a cause of concern. However, more and more cases are emerging in the country where patients have recovered from the Delta Plus infection. 9 cases have been confirmed in Maharashtra's Sangameshwar area of Ratnagiri district, including 3 children, but all of them recovered. Well, for more inputs on that particular story, we've got Shama Mishra, correspondent, joining us from Mumbai, giving us an insight into the state of Maharashtra, especially when it comes to the fight against the Delta Plus variant. Shama, good morning. Signs of, I would say, hope, especially when one looks at the Delta Plus variant and the fear that was created around it. And we see now cases of recovery, especially from Ratnagiri district. So surely some things to look forward to. And how has been, especially, the district management when it comes to fighting this Delta Plus variant and, they managing to win this battle against it?
Well, good morning, Anil, and we are seeing this particular victory from Delta variant, and now we can definitely say that if you're vaccinated against the COVID virus, you'll be able to put up a much better fight against any variant of COVID. And as far as we've already seen that all the vaccination companies have already said that their vaccine is protective, and it puts up a fight against the new variant of COVID virus also. So in Maharashtra's Ratnagiri district, where the highest number of the new variant was found, that was 9, all have recovered, and as you rightly mentioned that 3 amongst this 9 were children of the age of 4, 6. So these children have also recovered, and the fear that the third wave would be hitting the children the maximum, and we should be prepared for that particular fight. Here we can already see that the district administration has very well controlled the spread as well. Also, they have the numbers of the increase in numbers of COVID new variant has not been found in that particular area also, or anywhere else in Maharashtra also. However, many number of in thousands the samples have been sent for genome sequencing and getting to know that are there more Delta cases in the state. Apart from that, we are also seeing that in Jalgaon, Mumbai, Sindhudurg, these places had also recorded the cases of the new variant of COVID virus. And as in the beginning I mentioned that vaccination is one particular instrument or one particular weapon that can help us in protecting ourselves against the new variants as well. We heard Maharashtra Health Minister yesterday, Rajesh Tope. He was talking about how the numbers in the state have declined, are on a decline, but there is no need to put our guards down, to let our guards down, because following COVID appropriate behavior would be only the rational thing to do right now, apart from getting yourself vaccinated. And he has urged people to come forward and take the vaccines as soon as possible. Also, Maharashtra's the total age group starting from 18 plus, all the age groups have now opened, and on daily basis we are seeing that close to 4 lakh people, 5 lakh people are getting vaccinated, and Maharashtra has already crossed the benchmark of vaccinating, administering doses more than 3 crore. So yes, the government would be so that of the population, Maharashtra's population, should be vaccinated at the earliest, so that we can avoid the third wave, or even if it hits us, it will not be that complex. People will not be having those many complexities while the treatment begins, or they will not have to go to the hospital when they have already gotten themselves vaccinated and they still contract the virus of COVID. So yes, a lot of measures have been taken in the state. Apart from that, we are seeing that every district administration has been told that they have to be ready, they have to be prepared for tackling the third wave of COVID virus. And that is why every area, every district, they are making preparations of oxygen plants, oxygen bottling facilities, and everywhere it is being ensured that the second wave, how the second wave had hit us,
Well, I believe we lost touch with our correspondent there. We'll try and touch base with Shama once again, but she's giving us an insight into the progress, especially when it comes to the state fight and also when it comes to Delta plus variant, in the fear created around it. But slow signs of recovery is clearly being seen in the district of Ratnagiri in Maharashtra. Well, moving on, in a significant achievement, India's cumulative COVID-19 vaccination drive has crossed the landmark of 33 crore, a total of 33 crore 25 lakh 81,423 vaccine doses were administered across the country so far, as a new phase of universalization of COVID-19 vaccination commenced on 21st of June. More than 33 crore 79 lakh vaccine doses have been administered on Tuesday. 19,42,308 vaccine doses were administered as first dose, and 78,039 vaccine doses were given as second dose in the age group of 18 to 44 years in the last 24 hours. Cumulatively, around 9 crore persons across 37 states and union territories have received their first dose, and over 20,81,000 people have received their second dose since the start of the Phase 3 of the vaccination drive. Punjab government has ordered extension of the COVID-19 restrictions till the 10th of July with certain more relaxations from July 1st. Announcing the relaxation at a high-level COVID review meeting, Punjab Chief Minister made it clear that the bars and pubs would have to strictly maintain social distancing protocols and employees should have taken at least one dose of COVID-19 vaccines. Skill development centers and universities have also been allowed to open on the condition that their staff and students must have at least taken one dose of the vaccine. The IELTS coaching institutes have already been allowed to be opened subject to students and staff having taken at least one dose of the vaccine. Meanwhile, Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan has ruled out further relaxation of lockdown restrictions in the state as the test positivity rate or the TPR continues to hover about 10%. He expressed concerns that the TPR is not declining as expected. He further said that the government has decided to allow more time for completion of religious rituals relating to cremation, restricting it to at less than an hour. The state government has decided to reclassify local bodies on the basis of TPR, categorizing them into 4 groups between 6 and 18% for the purpose of imposing lockdown restrictions. Along with this, the Chief Minister denied reports about Kerala government planning to replace Kannada names of villages in Kasaragod district with Malayalam. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a high-level meeting on Tuesday with a view to further strengthen the defence sector of the country. Home Minister Amit Shah, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and NSA Ajit Doval also attended the meeting. According to sources, future challenges in the defence sector and issues related to equipping the armed forces with modern equipment were discussed in this meeting. In particular, aspects related to involving more youth and startups in this process were also deliberated upon. Moving next to the Parliament session of Monsoon. The Monsoon session of Parliament is likely to begin from July 19th and will go on till August 13th. The session will have 20 sittings. Since the pandemic began, all the 3 sessions of Parliament had to be truncated due to the rising number of COVID-19 positive cases. There is no clarity as of now whether the existing COVID-19 protocols will continue. So far, 403 members out of the 540 members of the Lok Sabha and 179 members out of the 232 in Rajya Sabha have got both doses of vaccines. This will be the first session since the May 2nd results of the assembly elections in 4 states and the Union Territory of Puducherry. Union government has extended the Pradhanmantri Gramin Kalyan Anna Yojana for 5 months, so that is from July to November this year. Further allocation of 198.78 lakh metric ton food grains have been made under the PMGKAY4 for July to September. Lifting of food grains have been started in 8 states: Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Odisha, Telangana, Tripura and Kerala. Over 106,000 metric tons food grains have been lifted till Monday. Under PMGKAY3, Food Corporation of India has supplied 77.42 lakh metric tons of free food grains to all states and union territories so far. The states and union territories, at least 23 of them, have lifted their full allocation for May and June 2021. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Tuesday said that international cooperation is the answer to the COVID challenge, be it vaccines, medicines, PPEs or oxygen. Addressing the G20 foreign ministers meeting in Italy, the minister said, and I quote, "Institutional multilateralism has been found wanting." He said reforms have many forms, but vaccine equity will be the immediate test. He also said real economy needs decentralized globalization, including in manufacturing, food and health. He stressed that resilient supply chains must develop in parallel. The External Affairs Minister also spoke at the G20 session on Africa and underlined India's solidarity with Global South and respect for African priorities. Dr. Jaishankar said that India will step up its digital cooperation in health, education and capacity building. He further said that India will work closely on health and food security, responding to COVID impact, and our development projects will continue to progress, especially in power, water, agriculture and IT. Well, for more on the story, we've got Amritpal, our correspondent, joining by. Amritpal, good morning. Amritpal, give us the big takeaways. You know, when one looks at this particular, session that was attended by the External Affairs Minister, what would be the big takeaways?
Basically, the pitch was for, vaccine equity. In fact, Dr. Jaishankar said that, internationalism is the answer and all countries need to get together to fight this pandemic. He said there are many forms of reform, vaccines, medicines, PPE kits, oxygen, international cooperation, but he said the immediate test would be vaccine equity. So basically putting forth India's requirement of vaccine, and also not just India, but what is referred to as the global south, their requirement of the vaccine, and basically telling in a way the developed countries that the stocks that they've piled up should be equitably distributed amongst all people, and especially those countries where vaccine availability is a problem, and because some countries have stocked beyond their population's needs. The External Affairs Minister making a strong pitch at the G20, because these are the 20 most rich nations of the world. So telling them that they need to do their part so that the rest of the world could get the vaccine, and because unless everybody is safe, nobody is safe.
Okay.
So, he didn't say it, but it was pretty evident that while there was a time when India stepped up its role before the second wave hit for vaccine distribution, and India is basically not reaching from the perch, but actually saying what it's already done. Anil?
Okay, now also looking at the way, especially when it comes to helping the African countries, the stress being laid, how do you read it, and how significant is that particular step?
You see, now the need of the African countries after Asian countries, for example, India still produces vaccines. Yes, we have a huge population, but we are a producer of vaccines. Slowly the South Asian countries are picking up the vaccine slowly and steadily, but African countries, Africa requires the vaccine more than anything else. And I think that is what the External Affairs Minister was stressing, that that is the next big task at hand for the world. Tomorrow, if a medicine is made for it, then also the world needs to look at sharing that. And he clearly talked about the responsibility of the world when it comes to Africa. And I think that was the central point of his address on the Africa session at G20 yesterday.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us this morning on Breakfast News. Well, moving on to some other news, in a historic effort aimed at harnessing the energy, enthusiasm and exuberant dreams of the women of Jammu and Kashmir, Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha on Tuesday launched the Hausla, a comprehensive program for catalyzing women entrepreneurship at Kashmir International Convention Center in Srinagar. The first batch of Hausla 5-month program with 100 women entrepreneurs on board will start from July this year. Speaking on the significance of Hausla, the Lieutenant Governor said that programs have been made in a very scientific way, and the broad contours include targeting women entrepreneurs of Jammu and Kashmir already established in the field of self-employment and creating a channel for educated women to explore their potential. The Lieutenant Governor said that the priority of the government is to reduce the gap between women and men entrepreneurs in a systematic manner and to encourage women who are currently engaged in various professions so that they too can become a part of Hausla program. Well, moving on to some special news from the world of technology. With new technologies coming into the world every day, a brand new one has emerged bearing good news for the ones that are visually impaired. White sticks used by the visually impaired to help them get about have had a high-tech makeover with a smart cane that can detect obstacles. Along with that, the smart cane can also give users information about the shops and restaurants they are passing by. The device is the brainchild of Kursat Silan, who is a Turkish inventor unsighted by birth. He helped to set up VWalk, which is a tech company that has created an electronic handle for the top of the cane. It uses ultrasound to detect obstacles and can be paired with a smartphone and gives voice feedback to help keep the user safe and informed. He said the foldable cane, priced at $599, is already being used by thousands of visually impaired people in 59 countries, and VWalk is further working with companies including Microsoft to add more features to it. Time now to take a look at COVID-19 situation from across the country. India has reported 45,951 new cases in the last 24 hours. India's active caseload has declined to 5,37,064. Active cases constitute 1.77% of the total cases. 2,94,27,330. That's the total recoveries across the country so far. 60,729 patients recovered in the last 24 hours. Daily recoveries continue to outnumber the daily new cases for the 48th consecutive day, and the recovery rate has increased to 96.92%. Weekly positivity rate remains below 5%, currently at 2.69%, and the daily positivity rate at 2.34%, less than 5% for the 23rd consecutive day. Testing capacity has substantially been ramped up, 41 crore 1 lakh tests being conducted in India. Well, testing, tracking and treating continues at an accelerated pace to restrict the spread of COVID-19 in India. As per the Indian Council of Medical Research, the country has so far tested 41 crore 1 lakh and 44 samples for COVID-19. On Tuesday, as many as 19,60,757 samples were tested. Let's move on to our next section, where we bring you stories from across the world in our segment Across the Globe. Well, a quick check on how COVID numbers stack up across the world. So far, more than 18 crore 25 lakh people have been infected by COVID-19 cumulatively. The recovery rate has crossed 16 crore 67 lakh. The disease has claimed over 39 lakh 53,000 lives globally. United States has been the worst affected country with more than 3 crore 45 lakh total infections. The country's fatalities stand at more than 6 lakh 19,000 from the pandemic. The US House of Representatives has expressed solidarity with India in its fight against coronavirus pandemic, and in a resolution urged the Biden administration to urgently help India's COVID assistance. The resolution was tabled in the US House of Representatives in May. The bipartisan resolution recognizes that when the US was in the midst of a devastating spike in COVID cases, India lifted its exports ban on certain therapeutics in response to a request by the US government. Sherman and Cabot are co-chairs of the House India Caucus. Among 41 co-sponsors, 32 lawmakers were from the ruling Democratic Party and another 9 from the Republican Party. The resolution recognized that India's pharmaceutical industry is a vital part of the global solution to the pandemic, especially for much of Asia, Africa and Latin America. Well, Kenya will receive the first batch of 13 million COVID-19 vaccine shots from Johnson & Johnson in August, as per the president, in its help to accelerate the country's vaccination drive. Only 1 million Kenyans have so far, of the 47 million, have got a first jab, and only 3 lakh are fully vaccinated. As a result of the deal for the J&J shots and other initiatives, the country will accelerate its vaccine deployment plan. Kenyan president said that the country has struck a deal to get 13 million shots from J&J. The vaccine is administered in a single shot and will help hasten the program, with 150,000 shots or doses being administered daily from August. Along with this, Kenya has extended containment measures, including an overnight curfew for another 60 days. Clinical trials of a potential coronavirus vaccine, Sobernar 2 or Sovereign 2, have begun in Cuba among children in the age group of 3 to 11 years. A group of 25 children initially participated in the study at the Juan Manuel Marcos Pediatric Hospital in Havana, where the research began 15 days ago in teenagers. A research study conducted among teenagers proved the safety of the first dose in this group, and the Finlay Institute decided to advance the study to the next stage with children under 12 years of age. Cuba will vaccinate 350 children from 3 to 18 years of age with a schedule of 2 doses of Sobernar 2 and 1 dose of Sobernar Plus within 28 days. Last week, the island announced that Sobernar 2 has shown 62% effectiveness with only 2 of its 3 doses in clinical trials with adults. US President Joe Biden visited Wisconsin on Tuesday on a mission to gather support for his $1.2 trillion infrastructure package. Biden went on a tour of a public transit facility in western Wisconsin's LA Cross, highlighting the plan's investment of about $48.5 billion in public transit to reduce commute time and to help reduce emissions while boosting growth and wages. Further in this visit, Joe Biden spoke about local gains from the deal, including funds for electric buses, replacement of some 80,000 lead water service lines in Milwaukee, and better access to high-speed internet. With the Senate divided 50-50, the Democrats aim to pass the companion measure through a process called reconciliation that requires a simple majority for the bill. Well, an update on the Florida building collapse case now. President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden will travel to Surfside, Florida on Thursday to visit with the families of victims of the collapsed Miami-led tower. Meanwhile, another body was recovered on Tuesday from the ruins of a Florida condo tower, making the death toll rise to 12, with over 149 still unaccounted for. Investigators have not yet determined what caused the major section of the 40-year-old building to collapse abruptly. Authorities say they still have hope that survivors might yet be found in the pile of concrete and twisted metal left when nearly half of the 12-storied 136-unit tower caved in. Rescue workers have moved 3 million pounds of concrete piece by piece from the debris since the collapse. The teams investigating the collapse include experts sent by Israel and Mexico to assist in the search. Well, Canadians residing in the western part of the country witnessed a historic and deadly heat wave. On Tuesday, Canada recorded its highest ever temperature for a third straight day, 49.5 degrees Celsius. The heat wave has claimed the lives of dozens of Canadians, many of them elderly. In Edmonton, community outreach workers turned their attention to the most vulnerable Canadians. In rural Alberta, farmers are feeling the heat too as they struggle to save crops and livestock. Forecasters are predicting more record-breaking temperatures in Canada today and tomorrow. In an update, the conflict in Ethiopia, the United Nations humanitarian organizations warned on Tuesday of the looming impact of the fighting in Tigray on aid efforts in the conflict-ravaged region. The former rulers of Ethiopia's Tigray said earlier that they were back in control of the regional capital, Mekelle, in a dramatic turn in a conflict that has killed thousands of people, displaced more than 2 million, and pushed hundreds of thousands on the brink of famine. At least 350,000 people are facing famine, and 50 lakh others need immediate food aid. The United Nations has termed this crisis as the worst global food crisis in a decade. The fighting has been punctuated by reports of brutal gang rapes and mass killings of civilians. At least 12 aid workers have lost life in the unrest so far.
This is making it even more difficult for our staff to work and deliver humanitarian assistance. We call for calm and restraint and appeal to all parties to the conflict to abide by international law, to protect civilians, including people who have been displaced, and to ensure that humanitarian workers can continue to exercise their duties and reach as many people as they can, which are in need of vital assistance right now.
Israeli Foreign Minister on Tuesday met with Emirati counterpart Abdullah bin Zayed on the first day of his two-day historic UAE visit. Lapid also signed a bilateral agreement on economic cooperation. During his visit, Lapid will inaugurate a consulate in Dubai and is also scheduled to visit the site of Expo 2020 Dubai, a world fair opening in October where Israel has built a pavilion. The trip is an opportunity for the to-be-old Israeli government of Naftali Bennett to make diplomatic inroads. The Russian Defense Ministry on Tuesday said it had scrambled fighter jets and bombers to prevent a Dutch frigate from entering Russian waters in the Black Sea. The military said the warplanes flew at a safe distance from the vessel. Earlier on Tuesday, the Netherlands Defense Minister said that Russian fighter jets armed with air-to-surface missiles had harassed a Dutch Navy frigate in the Black Sea earlier this month, conducting mock attacks and jamming communication systems. Well, let's now move on to our next segment where we get you the latest from social media and also the newspaper platforms in our web news review. Well, I've got my colleague standing by, Nancy, this morning. Nancy, good morning. Over to you.
Thanks, Anil. Good morning to you and our viewers. And taking a look at what news is being carried across the World Wide Web this morning, beginning first with this news from the Times of India. Possible use of weaponized drones for terrorism calls for serious attention, India says at the UN. And, this is even as raising the issue of terror groups using drones to attack the vital strategic installations at the UN. And in fact, India, they are saying at the UN General Assembly that the possibility of the use of the weaponized drones for terrorist purposes against strategic and commercial assets calls for serious attention by the member states. This was in fact in the background of a fresh attempt to attack a military installation with the help of drones was foiled by the alert army sentries at the Ratnachok Kaluchak station, who fired at the unmanned aerial vehicles that flew away, an incident that came hours after the Indian Air Force station saw the first terror attack using the quarters. Moving on now to this news, parliamentary panel directs Facebook, Google to comply with the new IT rules and the court orders. The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Information Technology has directed Facebook and Google to comply with the country's new IT rules. So the Facebook and the Google officials deposed before the parliamentary panel on the issue of the misuse of social media platforms. And the agenda there of the parliamentary panel meeting was to safeguard citizens' rights and prevent the misuse of social or online news media platforms. Moving on now to news from Hindustan Times. India opens gate for Moderna COVID-19 vaccine as Cipla gets the DCGI nod. The Drugs Controller General of India, the DCGI, has granted permission to Cipla to import Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine for restricted emergency use in the country as per the provisions of the new Drugs and the Clinical Trial Rules of 2019 and the Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940. So now India has made way for the fourth COVID-19 vaccine in its drug basket after Mumbai-based pharmaceutical company Cipla got a nod from India's drug regulator DCGI to import the vaccine for restricted emergency use in the country. Remember, India is already administering Oxford's Covishield, Bharat Biotech's Covaxin, and also Russia's Sputnik in its fight against COVID-19. So, in fact, one must make sure that they go ahead and take their shot of vaccine if they haven't done that so far yet. Moving on now to this news from the Financial Express, and this is about the market highlights as of yesterday, since it's their ending near this low. Nifty below 15,750, RAL gains, SBI, ICICI Bank shares fall. This was about the domestic equity market benchmarks, BSE Sensex and the Nifty, they're ending near day's lows. On Tuesday, the BSE Sensex ending at 52,549, down 186 points, or 0.35%, while the broader Nifty, they are closing at 15,748. The Power Grid Corporation of India, Hindustan Unilever Limited, Dr. Reddy's Laboratories, Nestle India, were among the top Sensex gainers there. Well, on the flip side there, the Kotak Mahindra Bank, the ICICI Bank, Tech Mahindra, Bajaj Auto, Mahindra & Mahindra, they were all the top index losers there, except for the Nifty, NS, FM, CG and the Nifty Pharma indices. All the sectoral indices there ended in the red, but the top sectoral laggard was the Nifty PSU Bank index, down 1.5%, while the Nifty FMCG index were gaining 0.5%. Well, that's all the news that's there from me from the World Wide Web this morning. Anil, it's back to you for the rest of the news.
Well, thank you, Nancy, for getting us the latest from the world of especially the social media websites and also newspapers. Let's now move on to our next segment, Business Buzz. Well, the Nasdaq closed at a record high on Tuesday, lifted by Apple and other technology stocks after an upbeat consumer confidence report. The S&P 500 hovered near unchanged for the latter part of the day, helped by Morgan Stanley. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 9.02 points to 34,292. The S&P 500 gained 1.19 to close at 4,291, and the Nasdaq Composite added 27 points to 14,528 points. Meanwhile, domestic equity benchmarks started today's session on a strong note amid broad-based gains across sectors. The BSE Sensex index rose as much as 214 points to touch 52,763 in the first few minutes of trade, and the broader NSE Nifty benchmark climbed to as high as 15,812, or up 64 points from its previous close. GST will complete 4 years since its implementation tomorrow. The Finance Ministry in a tweet said that GST has replaced the complex indirect tax structure with a simple, transparent and technology-driven tax regime, and has thus integrated India into a single common market. It further said, with the continuous simplification of procedures and rationalization of rate structures so as to make GST compliance easy for common man as well as the trade, we have been able to achieve economic integration of the country with a humane touch. In a series of tweets, the Finance Ministry said, GST has significantly eased one of the most complex indirect systems in the world. A company looking to do business in every state has to make as many as 495 different submissions. Under GST, that number has been reduced to just 12. It further said the multiple markets across India, with each state charging a different rate of tax, led to great inefficiencies and cost of compliance. Under GST, compliance has been improving steadily, with around 1.3 crore taxpayers registered. Four years of GST. GST completes 4 years since its implementation tomorrow. It has replaced that complex indirect tax structure with a simple, transparent, technology-driven tax regime, and has thus integrated India into a single common market. Well, let's now move on to our next segment, Sports Track. Well, Artem Dovek scored in added time in extra time as Ukraine edged past 10-men Sweden at Hemden to set up a Euro 2020 quarterfinal with England. Alexander Zinchenko smashed Ukraine in front with a powerful drive, but a deflected shot from Emil Forsberg leveled matters before halftime. Sweden lost Marcus Danielsson to a red card in extra time after a VAR check, and with penalties looming, Dovbyk, one of the 12 substitutes used, headed a dramatic winner from close range. Ukraine had crept in through from the group stage with 3 points and a negative goal difference, while Sweden topped their section with 7 points ahead of Spain. Well, England struck twice late on to end a 55-year-old wait for a knockout tie victory over Germany amid scenes of huge tension and elation at Wembley to reach the 2020 Euro quarterfinals. Gareth Southgate's side battled hard to earn the statement victory that has so often eluded England, and it was their talisman of this tournament, Raheem Sterling, who made the decisive breakthrough. Sterling, who scored the winner against Croatia and the Czech Republic in the group stage, steered in Luke Shaw's cross after 75 minutes to send England fans with more than 40,000 inside Wembley Stadium into wild celebrations. The win was secured with another moment of significance 4 minutes from time when captain Harry Kane, who had once again struggled to influence the game, headed in from substitute Jack Grealish's perfect delivery for his first goal of Euro 2020. England were again thankful for the brilliance of Everton goalkeeper Jordan Pickford, who is yet to concede a goal in the tournament. Well, England fans who gathered at a venue in South London to watch their teams play against Germany were thrilled and overjoyed as they watched Gareth Southgate's team beat Germany 2-0. Fans cheered when striker Raheem Sterling scored England's opener and captain Harry Kane doubled the win to secure the team's place in Euro 2020 quarterfinals. It's only the second time England have defeated Germany in a knockout match at a major tournament, the first being the 1966 World Cup final. England will next play Ukraine in the 2020 last day tie. Well, for more on the story, we've got Tejendra Singh, our correspondent tracking sports for us, joining us this morning. Tejendra, good morning. You know, a surprise win for England. You know, not many gave them a chance, but England has been, slow, but England have been constructive in this tournament, because they have still to concede a goal, and they have now reached the quarterfinals.
Yes, absolutely. What a wonderful match it was. I mean, so much of tension, especially in the first half. It was a wonderful delight for any football fan, but definitely not for the German fans. The way the England played, it was really wonderful. The coach, Gareth Southgate, he made some changes in the formation of the team. Instead of playing 4-3-3, he played 3-4-3 in this match. He was a bit criticized early on, but then the results shows that why he had done that. It was a wonderful game by England. They were packed in the defense, and especially the goalkeeper Jordan Pickford. He was brilliant on the field. The way he defended, especially the two goal kicks from Timo Werner. He was trying very hard to get the goal, but then he was denied that goal by Jordan Pickford. And then in the second half, Kai Havertz had a very good hit. It was just shooting off towards the goal, but then he was able to defend that. But then Raheem Sterling, he got one chance, a very good chance in the first half, but he was not able to convert that because the goalkeeper Manuel Neuer, he's one of the best in the world. He defended that. And in the second half, when Raheem Sterling got the chance, he converted it, and that was we can say the turning point. They were very confident at that point. And after that, in the 81st minute, Thomas Muller got a wonderful chance to equalize. That chance he missed, and German fans cannot believe how that happened. But then after that, their shoulders appeared to be down. The German fans, they knew that something wrong has happened. And then Harry Kane, who had not got a goal in this tournament as of now, till now, but then in this match, he got that goal and made sure that his team wins. So it was a wonderful match, heartbroken for the German fans, but then England, monkeys off the back, as you told in the news as well, not only for the team, but also for the coach.
Okay, so good news there for English fans and people rooting for England. England has got a huge fan base in India. Having said that, Germans too have a big support here. But England, they're having the last laugh. Gareth Southgate, the manager who lost the last penalty shootout in 1996 Euro, where he went to take that penalty shootout, especially in sudden death. He missed, able to get the monkey off his back as Germany, are out of the tournament. But looking at this tournament in whole, how do you see, round 2 and now the quarterfinal stage, how do you see the tournament building up? Is it a tournament of surprises for teams unknown, or do you say, it's lived up very much to expectations?
Yes, it has definitely been the tournament of surprises till now, because we have seen some of the best teams. They are not part of the quarterfinals, and you remember we were calling the group of death, and France, Germany and Portugal, all these teams are out of this tournament. So we can be ready for some surprises. But yes, if you see at the lineup of the quarterfinals, Spain definitely looks stronger than Switzerland, so will give a chance to Spain, but you never know what could happen on that day. At the same time, a very interesting match could be between Belgium and Italy. Belgium is ranked #1 team, but then Italy has also done well in this tournament. England and Ukraine, definitely edge will be with England with the win in the round of 16 match against Germany. Their morals will be high, but they will be playing it in Rome, so we'll have to wait and watch. But then definitely edge is with England. And another interesting match would be between Czech Republic and Denmark. Very difficult to say, but a slight edge we can give it to Denmark.
Well, I would put all my money, in case I have it, put all my money on an England versus Italy final at the Wembley Stadium. That's going to be a cracker of a game, considering the the fan base and the performance that these two teams have put in this tournament to the time that we have seen. Thank you and appreciate you joining us, Tejinder, this morning, giving us an insight into that Euro 2020 and the action as it got over in the round of 16. Well, let's now shift focus, but stay with sports and move to tennis and Wimbledon that's taking place at the All England Tennis Championship, where American great Serena Williams says she's heartbroken after her latest attempt for a record-equaling 24th Grand Slam was cruelly ended by injury. Williams started against Alexandra Sasnovich with a heavy strapping on her thigh and slipped in the 5th game. The 39-year-old went down again in the 7th game and was overcome by emotion before having to retire. Fans on centre court rose in unison to give her a heartfelt standing ovation as Williams waved goodbye, with the crowd no doubt wondering if this will be the final time at SW19 for a player who turns 40 in September. Well, time now to move to our next segment, health. Well, nutrition can be defined as food at work in the body. We need a variety of nutrients to be healthy. Different nutrients have different functions. Let's understand the importance of nutrients that are required by the body in greater amounts.
Nutrients can be divided mainly into two groups, macronutrients and micronutrients. What are macronutrients and why do we need them? Let's understand from nutritionist Nilanjana Singh. Nilanjana ji, what are macronutrients and how do they help us in staying healthy?
The macronutrients, which are needed by our body in fairly large amounts and playing very important roles in well-being. The macronutrients, carbohydrates, proteins and fats are known popularly for the energy providing and body building roles that they play. What is not common knowledge is that they play a part in supporting immunity and mental health, which is so relevant today. Water is another vital macronutrient for our body's functioning, and we can gauge the importance as 60% of our body weight is water.
What kind of diet provide us with the adequate amount of macronutrients?
A wide range of cereals go towards meeting our carbohydrate needs. Be it wheat, rice, bajra, jowar, ragi, it is good to include much variety, but at the same time avoid excessively refined version and its products. Protein sources that are available to us include meat, eggs, milk, yogurt, cheese, paneer, dals, beans, peas, soya. A major portion of our protein needs should ideally be met through plant sources. We are spoiled for choice as far as fats and oils go. There is mustard, soya, sesame, rice bran, peanut, ghee, butter and more. Although oils are an essential part of our diet, we should stay within the recommended limits. Maintaining hydration by drinking enough water and healthy beverages.
Include variety of foods in your diet to get macronutrients in good quantity. This will help you to attain and maintain good health. Kiran Bhardwaj, DD News.
Well, time now to take a look at the weather. Let's now take a look at the weather forecast. Prevailing meteorological conditions, large-scale atmospheric features and the forecast wind pattern by dynamic models suggest no favorable conditions likely to develop for further advance of southwest monsoon in remaining parts of Rajasthan, West Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Chandigarh, Delhi and Punjab for the next 4 to 5 days. Heavy to very heavy rainfall likely over Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura over the next 2 days. Isolated extremely falls over Assam and Meghalaya and over Bihar and Sub-Himalayan West Bengal and Sikkim during the next 48 hours. Strong surface winds over Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh today and tomorrow. Let's now take a look at the temperatures in your city. Well, staying fit and healthy has become a new mantra for most of the people of the present generation. Now, an engineering student and fitness enthusiast from Chennai attempted a world record for most knuckle push-ups in an hour. Tia Janta was trying to raise awareness about the importance of health and fitness after losing a friend to lifestyle-related disease.